Hello, I'm Bill McKim, your 2020-21 Greater Iowa Credit Union Board Chair. It is with great pleasure and pride that I welcome you to join us for this live broadcast of the 89th annual meeting. As you may recall, in early 2018, your board of directors voted to move to only online voting beginning in 2019. Not only were we able to meet the goal of increased member participation through the online voting process, we were also able to allow members to virtually attend the annual meeting from the branch location that best served them. This year, we have added the feature for members to attend from their home, their office, or anywhere they might be right now. So again, I say welcome to the membership of Greater Iowa. It's my honor and to introduce the great people I've had a chance to work with, fellow board members. So right now, I'd like to introduce them. The first one is Rob Tebben, who has served on the executive committee as a vice chair and chair of the audit committee. Mike Whalen, serving on the exec committee as treasurer and as the credit asset liability, or as we like to say, the CalCo committee chair. Marianne Grapp, serving on the executive committee as board secretary and as a member of the corporate giving committee. Annie Arbuckle, serving as the chair of the corporate giving committee and as our credit union political action committee, or QPAC representative. Chris Campbell, who serves on the audit committee and the governance committee. Laura Olson, who also serves on the CalCo as secretary and as chair of the governance committee. Carla Sacco, serving on the audit committee and the corporate giving committee. John Velati, serving as a member of the CalCo and serving as secretary of the governance committee. I'd also like to introduce a couple people who have really helped us out. Linda Ashby has served as an associate director on the credit asset liability committee this past year. And Don Worth was kind enough to continue serving as a director emeritus. I thank you, both of them, for their willingness to serve as well. As representative of the membership, I thank each of you for your unconditional dedication and the contributions. Looking at our agenda for this evening for the 22 annual meeting will be as follows. So we'll ascertain a quorum, call to order, presentation of the 88th annual meeting minutes, and then we'll have our 2020 annual meeting reports. There'll be a report from the governance committee. And according to Robert's Rules of Order, motions for acceptance of committee reports come from the specific committees and require no second. Only the chair's report and the president's CEO report will require motion and a second for acceptance. So after the governance committee, we'll have the board chair's report, the audit committee, then the treasurer CalCo report, and then the president and CEO report. And then we'll have a report from the election committee and the oath for the new directors. Then we'll have an opportunity for any unfinished business, any new business, and then adjourn. So Secretary Grapp, do we have a quorum present for tonight's meeting?
Yes, thanks. We are having a quorum of 96 voting members present. So therefore, the 89th annual meeting of the Greater Iowa Credit Union will now come to order at 4:35 p.m. If no changes are needed, the agenda is approved as announced.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the 88th annual meeting, a copy which was printed with the 2020 annual report? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the 88th annual meeting minutes as written?
I would so move. This is Mike Wallin.
Thanks, Mike Wallin has moved. Is there a second for that?
I will second.
Wow, lots of people. I think Laura Olson was one of those people, so I'll have Laura Olson down as the second.
Correct.
All those in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, please say no. And we've passed the minutes. Now I'd like to ask Laura Olson to present the governance committee report.
Thank you, Bill. Before we begin the director election announcement, I'd like to acknowledge and thank the other members of the governance committee. Board members Chris Campbell and John Velati, President and CEO Scott Zonley, the VP of Member Services Julie Wilsey, and our recording secretary to the board, Kathy Krebs. Greater Iowa Credit Union membership. As governance committee chair, I present to you the slate of candidates as published and approved by the Greater Iowa Credit Union Board of Directors. at the December 28th, 2020 board meeting. And our first on the list is Linda Ashby of West Des Moines. She is a current Greater Iowa Credit Union Associate Director, as well as a former GICU and former EACU Director. She's currently with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services First Realty. We also have Paul Herman of Ames, Iowa. He is with Iowa State University. He's a Bob and Kate Smith Professor of Entrepreneurship. We also have Leo Canny of Denison. He's a former Heartland Credit Union Director, United Food, and currently a United Food and Commercial Workers Local 440. He's the president. And we also have a Carlos Kirby from the District of Columbia. He is also a former Greater Iowa Credit Union Director. He's currently with the U.S. Navy as the Deputy Director of Public Affairs for the Presidential Inaugural Support. The call for candidate notification, announcement of the annual meeting notification, balloting, and voting procedure were in compliance with the Chapter 533 of the Iowa Code and Chapter 189 of the Administrative Rulings. At this time, I would also like to invite President and CEO Scott Zonley to join me as an election committee chair in recognizing 3 of our directors who are completing their terms tonight and chose not to seek re-election.
Thank you, Laura. Our first director, Mary Ann Grapp. Mary Ann was elected to the board in 2018 to begin her first 3-year term. During her term, she served on Calco in 2018 and 19, on the audit committee in 2018, corporate giving committee in 2018 and 2020, serving as committee chair in 2018, governance committee in 2018 and 19, and board secretary on the executive committee in 2019 and 2020. Mary Ann, we appreciate your 3 years of service to the board and your commitment as a member of Greater Iowa. Second board member, Bill McKim. Bill was elected to the board in 2018 to begin his first 3-year term. During his term, he served as board secretary in 2018, vice chair in 2019, and as chair in 2020 on the executive committee. He was on the audit committee in 2018, human resource committee in 2018 and 19, and served as chair of the IT steering committee in 2018 and 2019. Bill, we appreciate your 3 years of service to the board and your commitment to the Greater Iowa Credit Union. Our third member, board member, Carla Sacco. Carla was elected to the board in 2018. During her term, she served on the audit committee in 2020, Calco in 2018, corporate giving committee in 2018, 2019, and 2020, serving as a committee chair in 2019. She was on the credit committee in 2018 and 2019, serving as committee chair in 2018. And she was on the governance committee, serving as chair in 2019, and IT steering committee in 2018. Carla, we also appreciate your 3 years of service to the board and your commitment to Greater Iowa Credit Union.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Chair, that concludes the governance committee report.
Thank you very much, Laura. We'll now present the 2020 annual reports to the membership of Greater Iowa Credit Union. As I mentioned, my name is Bill McKim, and while Scott noted, today concludes my 3-year term as serving on the Greater Iowa Credit Union Board of Directors. I've considered it a privilege as being able to serve as your board chair for the past year, and I've considered an honor to work with each member of the Board of Directors. They're an outstanding group of people. Great Iowa membership, I present the 2020 Chairs Report for acceptance as printed in the 2020 Annual Report. Is there a motion to accept the Chair's 2020 Annual Report?
So moved.
Thanks, Rob. Rob Tebben made the motion. Is there a second for that?
I will second. This is Mary Ann.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So we have a motion and a second. Has been moved and seconded to accept the 2020 Chairs Report as printed in the 2020 Annual Report. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried. The 2020 Chairs Report has been accepted as printed in the 2020 Annual Report. I would now ask Rob Tebben to present the Audit Committee report.
Thank you, Bill. The primary role of the Audit Committee is to provide strategic oversight of the credit union. This includes overseeing Greater Iowa's audit program, approving policies to protect member funds, and establishing policies to promote and ensure internal control. Mr. Chair, I present the 2020 Audit Committee report for acceptance as printed in the 2020 annual report.
Thank you, Rob. The Audit Committee report has presented for acceptance. As a committee report, it requires no second. So all in favor of accepting the Audit Committee report as presented, please say yes.
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 All those opposed, please say no. The Audit Committee report has been accepted. I'd ask Mike Wallin to present the Treasurer's report from the Credit Asset Liability or the CalCo Committee.
Thank you, Bill. Good afternoon, everyone. CalCo seeks to maintain capital reserves at a level that promotes member confidence, long-term stability, and business flexibility. On the asset liability management side, CalCo's primary areas of oversight and responsibility include monitoring and managing the organization's liquidity position, interest rate margin, interest rate risk and exposure, and the composition and maturity of the assets and liabilities of the credit union. The committee is also responsible for oversight of the credit union's lending program. This includes working with the lending division to make sure that its policies and practices are in line with the needs of the members and regulators. Mr. Chair, on behalf of the CalCo Credit Asset Liability Committee, I present the 2020 year-end financials and treasurer's report for acceptance as printed in the 2020 annual report.
Thank you very much, Mike. The Credit Asset Liability Committee 2020 year-end financials and treasurer's report has been presented for acceptance. Again, as a committee report, it requires no second. So all those in favor of accepting the Credit Asset Liability Committee report as printed in the 2020 annual report, please say yes.
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 All opposed, no. The Credit Asset Liability Committee 2020 year-end financials and treasurer's report has been accepted. I now bring to you your President and CEO of Greater Iowa Credit Union, Mr. Scott Zonley.
Thank you, Bill. I'm Scott Conley, your president and CEO. Very proud to be working for Greater Iowa Credit Union and doing the best job possible for you as members of the credit union. This has been quite a year in 2020. That's an understatement we keep hearing about, but with the pandemic, I want to really thank the staff as well as the members for their patience and working through the process of being as safe as possible with this pandemic, making sure that we have a safe environment in our branches and working through the process of working from home in our back office. It's been a trying time, and we're looking for the end of this pandemic where we can get back to whatever normal is going to be like in the future. Mr. Chair, I present the 2020 President CEO report for acceptance as printed in the 2020 annual report.
Thank you very much, Scott. Is there a motion to accept the President CEO 2020 report?
This is Rob Cordes, and I move to accept the President and CEO's report.
Thank you, Rob. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, John Velati is seconded. It has been moved and seconded to accept the 2020 President CEO report. All in favor, please say yes.
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 All opposed, no. The 2020 President CEO report has been accepted. Thank you, Scott. As Chair of the Election Process Committee, I now ask you to announce the election results.
Thanks again, Bill. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge the other members of the Election Process Committee who served with me. Nick Lowe, Project Manager, Tyler Morrison, IT Support Specialist, Mindy Wheeler, IT Manager, Julie Wilsey, VP of Member Services, Lauren Fay, Senior Marketing and Community Relations Manager, and Kathy Krebs, Recording Secretary to the Board of Directors. As the Election Committee Chair, I'm pleased to announce the 2021-2022 election results as compiled by the Credit Union Executive Society eVote, a secure platform for online voting. Elected to serve a 3-year term on the Greater Iowa Credit Union Board of Directors are Linda Ashby, Paul Herman, and Leo Kahn. Congratulations. Would all current and newly elected directors for the 2021-2022 year please unmute your microphones for the oath of directors. Members of the board, you have been elected directors of the Greater Iowa Credit Union. Upon each of you rests the responsibility of helping to direct the affairs of the credit union. It is required of each of you that you familiarize yourself with sound credit union philosophy and practices, the law and bylaws governing the credit union, that you attend each meeting of the credit union board, and that you wisely decide on matters of policy and administration. Do you then, working in harmony to the best of your ability, promise to do things which are required of you to successfully direct the affairs of the credit union?
I do.
Respond by saying I do. Would you please respond by saying I do?
I do.
I do.
Now, would you raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
I,
I,
Linda
Rob Tevin,
Ashby,
Do solemnly pledge myself
Solemnly pledge
solemnly
do solemnly pledge
myself
myself
to perform the duties of the office
to perform the duties of the office
as director of the credit union
as director of the credit
of
union,
the credit union,
and further pledge that I will exert every effort
and further
promise
pledge
that I will
that
exert
I
every
will
effort
exert every effort
office
of this
from the
office.
duties of the office.
Congratulations. Ballots shall be preserved for at least 60 days as required by law under Iowa Code Chapter 533. Mr. Chair, that concludes the election committee report.
Thank you, Scott. Is there any unfinished business to be brought before the membership? Hearing none, is there any new business to be brought before the membership? Again, hearing none, that concludes the business meeting. I now declare the 2020 annual meeting of the membership of Greater Iowa Credit Union adjourned at 4:49 p.m. Hope everyone has a great evening, and thank you for participating in the business affairs of your credit union.